Alexis, and we're gonna do a buff bones workout today. For this one, we are not gonna do any flexion of the spine. We will hinge from the hips and we'll add that loaded weight. So I have 2-pound weights. If you don't have any weights, then that's fine. If you have them and want to grab them now, go for it. So I'm gonna have you guys start standing with your feet hip distance apart. Start with that posture. So start with stacking the head over shoulders, over hips, over heels, and you're just gonna start with that movement through the feet. So I'm lifting up through those heels and then lowering back down. Good, feel your breath here. And we're rolling through that entire foot as you come back down. You're gonna push into those toes and lower. You're just doing 2 more. Find that reach straight up. Lower back down. Last one here, lift up, and then how slow can you lower back down through the center of the foot? Once you're down, keep the entire foot down and just start to lift all 10 toes up towards the ceiling. So the ball of your foot and the heel is pushing into the floor, toes are lifted up, and then you're gonna start with those pinky toes and reach down with the pinkies, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And we'll do that one again and start with those big toes. So start lifting with those toes and then push down through the big toes, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Last time here, lift all 10 toes up and just wiggle the toes. So I'm doing it with my fingers as well, but I'm just moving through each of those toes. Lower the foot back down. Good, and then we're gonna come into that hip hinge. So on this one, I'm opening those feet hip distance apart. I'm gonna just bring my hands on the pelvis here, and I'm just gonna start with hinging over the hands. So my tailbone's going back, my chest is staying lifted, knees are still staying behind the toes, and then start to lift back up. I'm gonna scooch forward just a little bit so you can take it a little lower. And on these ones, I want you to feel the legs and the stomach working, not the knees. So if you have to limit that range of motion, feel free to here. We're gonna lift back up, and then once you've got the movement, you can add those arms. So we're gonna reach those arms forward, press the tailbone back. Exhale, start to lift back up. And then find that stretch. So I'm reaching down, feel your glutes, feel your stomach, and then exhale, come back to tall. One more like this. Hold it there, and then you're gonna pulse through the back of the legs. So I'm still hinging from the hips, pulling your stomach up and in. Last 3, 2, and 1, and then come all the way up from there. And open my feet wider than hip distance now. I'm rotating open with those toes. And then we'll come into that squat from here. So same idea. If my hands were on my pelvis, my tailbone's going back, my chest is staying lifted. And then I'm gonna push into both feet, squeeze the glutes, and lift back up. If you wanna add those arms, find that reach. And then exhale, lift back through. So on these ones, you can again take it as low as you wanna go. Make sure you're pushing through the glutes, the back of those legs, and the stomach. And then we're gonna stay down on this one. Start to find that lift through the chest. You're still pressing down and back through the tailbone. And then I'm just gonna lift one heel and switch. Good, so feel your breath. Find the push into those toes. We're doing one more each side. And then push into both feet, squeeze the glutes, come all the way back up. Toe heel those legs back together. And just stepping back just a little bit, and we're gonna take that reach. So arms are gonna lift. On this one, I want you to pretend, and I know it's hard to see on this angle, but that you're climbing that imaginary rope, and I'm reaching one rib higher than the other. So I'm just feeling that stretch through the side body. We're just doing one more each side. And that lift, and lift, reach both arms up, and then exhale, bring those arms back down. Shake out through those shoulders. And then you're gonna make your way onto your mat. So keep your weights close by. And again, I just have 2 pounds on this one. During this supine series, if you want to add them, feel free to. Again, if you don't have them, that's fine. So I'm gonna make my way onto the mat. And I'm just going to start with pushing my head into the mat and then release. So start to feel your breath. My feet are pushing down, my shoulders are pushing down, and then release. And on this exercise, we're trying to lengthen the back of the neck. So I'm not reaching my chin up or here. I'm keeping that length in the neck and then push into the mat with the back of the head and then release. One more here. And then release. And then I'm going to start to bring my arms up towards the ceiling. And on this one, I'm just going to reach the shoulder blades towards the floor and then start to pick just the shoulder blades off the mat. And squeeze them together, reach, and then pick them off. We're just doing 2 more here. And lift. So really feel that movement. And then I'm going to find that connection. I'm going to open out through my fingers and then feel that reach open towards the floor and start to squeeze and reach back in. I'm going to do that one 2 more times. So I'm opening out to that T position with my arms. Keep that reach. Pull those arms back in. Last one here. And then bring those arms right back in. I'm going to grab my weights on this one. And then I'm keeping the shoulders on the floor. And I'm just going to reach one arm overhead, one arm down by my side. On this one, I'm hovering those arms over the floor. I'm not letting them go all the way to the floor. And then switch. So a nice slow movement. Letting the weights feel heavy here. And then you can take that second and stretch that arm above the head. Stretch the arm down by your waist. Exhale, come back through center. We're going to do that one again. Opposite side. So feel that stretch. Use the weight to help you. Come back through center. Reach those arms up. And then we're going to go back to that same lift and lower of the shoulder blades, but single arm on this one, and use those weights to kind of help you. So I'm just lifting one arm up, lower down, and then switch and lower down. My head's still pushing heavy. My feet and tail is heavy. Good. And then I'm going to keep the weights just like this. They're going to reach overhead. And on this one, you guys, I want you to think of your ribs. So trying to keep them together. And then exhale, bring them right back towards the ceiling. So again, I'm not letting them fall on the floor. I'm finding that control with the arms and the shoulders. Exhale, belly pulls deeper towards the spine. Bring them up. And last one here. Find that stretch behind you. Exhale and bring those arms right back up. Feel the control. Start to lower those arms down by your side. Push the hands into the mat. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, and I'm going to come into that tilt and tuck of the pelvis here. So on this one, I'm pretending like I'm rolling that marble towards your belly button and then back down towards the tail. And just starting to feel that movement of the lower spine. I'm pushing my weights gently into the mat. And then we're going to start to slowly peel off the mat from here. Take a second and reach the knees away from the head. So feel that length on the front of the body. Push down through those arms. Keep the length through the tailbone and start to slowly lower down with a flat back. So I'm doing that one 2 more times. Opening through the front of the hips. Find that lift up. Feel your breath push through the knees. And then lower down with that flat back. And last one here. Start to feel that squeeze and lift. Push into both feet. Lengthen and lower. Good. I'm going to keep the weights just by my side for now. Bring one leg up towards the ceiling, and then hands are going to come behind that leg, and I'm going to come into that hamstring stretch. So I'm just feeling that push-pull. You start to move through the ankle if that feels okay. And then pull that knee towards the chest. Give yourself that little squeeze. We'll lower that leg and then switch to the other side. So other leg lifts. Bring your hands behind the hamstring, not the knee here. And then little circles through the ankle. Feel the push-pull on the leg to get into that hamstring. Good, and then lower that leg back down. And then we're gonna come into your leg circle. So on this one, I'm gonna add the weights again. If you don't want to, feel like you don't have to. So arms are gonna come up. I'm gonna lengthen one leg, bring that opposite leg up, open the arms out to where that weight is working. So your arms are working here. Rotate that leg externally and then start to circle it around and up. And exhale. I'm just doing one more this direction. And reverse. Hips are staying nice and even. Last two. And then lengthen that leg towards the floor. Arms come back to center. Check in with the shoulders and the neck. I'm going to bring that opposite leg up. Open those arms back out. Externally rotate the leg. Take it across and then exhale, lift. And exhale, lift. Good. Last one on this side. And then we'll reverse. The leg that's long is working. It's pushing into the floor. Last one. And then lower that leg back down. Bring the arms back down. You're going to lower those arms back down from here. I'm going to bring my feet back up. And then we're going to come into some stomach work. So on this one, I'm going to bring my legs into that tabletop position. My hands are on top of those thighs. And you're going to start with an inhale. And on the exhale, push the hands and the legs together. Belly pulls towards the spine. And then release. So it doesn't look like I'm doing much. My stomach is working. Take that inhale. Exhale, push, pull in with the stomach. We're doing two more. Feel your breath to move the stomach. Exhale, push. Lower those legs back down. And then we're going to come into your single leg stretch from here. So head staying down. I'm going to pull one knee towards my chest. Opposite leg is going to lengthen. You're going to add your pull, pull, and switch. Pull, pull. So with the buff bones, our head is staying heavy. It's not curling up. But I want you to think of your chin to your chest like you have that orange. You're not tilting your chin back or forward. You're keeping it nice and still. Good. And then switch, switch. Good. One more each side. And pull, pull. Head still staying heavy. My knees are coming towards my chest. We're going to go right into that double leg. So arms and legs are going to reach. Feel the stretch. Exhale, pull it back in. Feel that stretch. Exhale, pull back in. You can take those legs as low as you want. Make sure your lower back is not arching. Good. Find that stretch. Exhale, pull in. Last one here. Hold. Find your stomach. Exhale, pull everything back in from there. Lower those legs and then come right back into that little tilt and tuck with the pelvis. Good. Lengthen those legs. Take a full body stretch here. So I'm just reaching those feet, reaching through the arms. And then I'm going to have you turn on over to your stomach. So on this one, I'm starting with my hands underneath the shoulders. My head is reaching long. And then we're going to start with pushing the top of the legs into the floor. I'm feeling my hips push into the floor, belly's pulling up. And I'm just going to lift that a little bit and then lower back down. Feel the squeeze of the shoulder blades. So activate your back and lower. Lift and lower. And then you're going to start to lift and start to squeeze those shoulder blades together to lift the arms up. Shoot those arms forward, circle, and then come all the way back down. And again, lift the head, start to lift those arms, reach the arms forward, circle, and come back down. One more here. Lift up, squeeze, reach, circle, come all the way back down. And then we'll come into that single leg kick. So I'm going to bring my hands together. pull the elbows towards the ribs, and then start to kick one heel towards the tail, extend and lengthen. And kick, kick, extend and lengthen. Good. Think of hip bones pushing into the mat, belly pulls up. So it's easy in this position to let the stomach go. Try and keep it connected. Last one here. Lower back down. Then you're going to come into that child's pose if that feels okay on the lower back. Find that stretch. And just feel your breath. Good. And then come up from there. We're going to come onto your side for some side legs. So on this one, I'm going to bring my feet to the front edge of the mat. My tailbone and shoulders are going to line up with the back edge of the mat. And I'm going to start with that top leg lifted hip height. Pull the toes back towards the face. Feel that length from your hip. And you're going to start to kick, kick, and back. Kick, kick. Good. If you want that added balance, add that arm. And kick, kick. Feel that stretch. Good. Kick, kick. You're pushing down with that bottom leg. And then we'll do one more here. Kick, kick. Bottom foot's going to come in as a kickstand, so my toes are into the floor. My top foot is going to rotate externally and start to flex on the way up and point on the way down. And flex and point. Good. Last two like this. So flex on the way up, point on the way down. And point. Now reverse it for 5. So point on the way up, flex on the way down. And point, flex, last 3. Flex, last 2, stomach's in control. One more here, point. And flex, and then I'm going to keep that leg nice and long. Little tiny circles. So on this one, you can add that top arm, little circles, reverse it. The arm and the leg. Good. And then we'll lower that leg back down. You're going to take a nice quad stretch. So I'm just taking that top leg, pulling it back, opening through that front hip. So I'm just going to squeeze the glute and almost reach it forward just that little bit. Lower that leg back down. We're going to do a little transition and then we'll switch to the other side. So on this one, I'm going to go back on my stomach. My head's going to come into my hands. And then I'm going to lift the legs up and tap those heels together for 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come all the way down from there. And then we'll switch to that other side. So I'm going to line up my feet to the front edge, shoulders and tailbone to the back edge, and then start with that pendulum. So arms going to come up, pull that top leg hip height. You're feeling that length from the hip. Pull the toes back towards the face, and then start to kick, kick, and kick, kick, and kick, kick. Again, that bottom leg is working here. It's pushing into the floor. Feel that reach the entire time, like that top leg is trying to reach that wall, and kick, kick. Doing one more full set. And then meet back to this first leg. Toes on that bottom foot are going to reach into the floor. Externally rotate that top leg, flex on the way up, and point on the way down. And point. And point. Last 2 just like this. Flex and point. Flex and point, and then reverse it for 5. So point and flex. I'm still keeping those hips stacked and feeling that length. Last 2. Good. And then hold that leg top, hip height, and little circles through the arm and the foot. And then reverse the arm and the leg. Good, and then we'll take that quad stretch, so bring that leg back. Feel that squeeze open through that top leg. Feel your breath. And then we'll come on your back and we'll take that figure 4 stretch through both sides. So I'm gonna just lie back down. And then bring one heel up and over that opposite knee. And you can bring that leg towards the chest. If you feel it with the leg long, you can do that as well. Find that movement through the ankles here. And then we'll switch to the other side. So bring that leg up. Check back in with the shoulders and the neck, and then little circles through the ankle here. Good. We'll lower back down. Take that full body stretch here. And then we're gonna roll back over onto all 4s. So in this position, you're gonna bring your hands right underneath the shoulders. The knees are right underneath the hips. And we're just starting with that hinge of the hips again. We're gonna hinge forward and then back. So on these ones, we are putting pressure on those wrists. Think of pulling up through the stomach without rounding the back to take some of that pressure off the wrist. And then we'll come right back into your neutral spine. Feel your stomach start to pull up without doing this. So we don't want that rounded spine. You want to stay in neutral. Tuck your toes underneath those heels. And then with an exhale, start to float the knees off the mat. And just hold. So feel your breath here. Is your weight mostly in your wrists, the feet, or the stomach? You want it even here. And then lower back down. We're going to do that one more time. If you want to add on to this one, you can. If you want to stay there, stay there. So start to find your breath, lift those knees. Trying to keep the weight equal. I'm just going to shift and lift one foot off and switch. One more each side. And lower back down. Take a second, shake out through those wrists. And we're going to do your opposite arm, opposite leg. So back on all 4s. I'm going to start by pushing one foot into the floor and then lift up through that hamstring like I'm pushing into that opposite wall or the wall behind me. Opposite arm is going to reach. And you're just going to do a little tiny lift with both the arm and the leg. For 4, 2, and 1. Lower back down. We'll switch the other side. So push that foot into the floor. Start to pick up that hamstring. Opposite arm is going to reach and little tiny lift. For 4, good, last 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way back down and then shake out those wrists again. Good. Okay, from here we're going to start to make our way back to standing. This is where you can grab your weights if you would like them. So with buff bones, we do the pounding of the heels to load our bones back up. So on this one, and I'm on carpet, so it's not as great, but if you have that hardwood or a little bit harder surface, it's a little better for this. You're gonna start to come open with those legs, and I'm gonna push into just my toes, start to lift the heels, and start to pound through the heels as hard as you can. So you want to feel that movement here. My toes are not coming off, just my heels. And I'm going to start to move fast here. And again, harder if you have that hardwood floor. For 5, good. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way back to standing. I'm going to toe heel those feet back together. And we're going to add a little bit of balance with the weights here. So we're going to start with those hands together. You're going to pull up and then lower back down. Feel that squeeze and lower. One more like this. So this is the movement through the shoulders. We're going to start to add that lift through the legs. You're going to squeeze and lift and lower. So I'm lifting my heels as I lift my arms and lower. Lift and lower. We're doing 3 more. Straight up towards the ceiling, not forward. Last 2. And 1. Come back down, shake out through those shoulders, open those legs. And we're gonna come into your bicep curls. So on this first set, my arms are long, so I'm like I'm on a shelf, and I'm just gonna come into those bicep curls. So feel the belly pull up and in, reach long through the arms, exhale, squeeze and pull in. Your stomach's working. Good, we're doing 3 more just like this. So that's the movement through those arms. And then we're gonna add a little balance. So arms are staying on that imaginary shelf. I'm gonna bring one leg up. If you would like to keep the toe of that foot on the ground, that's fine. If you can keep it lifted, and you're gonna squeeze and then lengthen. Exhale, squeeze and lengthen. So challenge the balance just a little bit here. Good, we're doing 2 more. And then open halfway. I'm gonna open that leg, open the arms, pull right back in. Open out, exhale, pull right back in. Good. Last 2. And 1. Come to center, lower the leg, lower the arms. Shake out through those legs and the shoulders, and we'll do that on the other side. So again, if you don't feel secure, you can leave just the toe, the big toe on that leg lifted. If you want to lift it up. Arms are back on that imaginary shelf, and then exhale, pull in and reach. Think of the shoulders gliding down the spine. Your stomach's working. We have 3 more just like this. Good, last 2. Reach, and 1. You're gonna just rotate to 90, open that leg out, exhale, bring everything back to center. And open, exhale, squeeze and bring it back in. Good, last 3. Find that reach, exhale, pull in. 2, and 1. And then lower back down. Shake out through those legs. On this one, I'm gonna come into that hip hinge again. So my tailbone's going back, chest is staying lifted. Arms are gonna come by my side, and we'll come into those triceps. So I'm just gonna squeeze, pull back in. Feel that reach, pull back in. Think of your stomach here and find the length from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Good. And then hold it back there and little tiny lift and lift. Last 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way up from there. Good. Okay. And then on this one, I'm going to bring my hands together. My feet are going to go about hip distance apart. And we're going to come into that little punching. So I'm still in that little bend of my knees, back into that little hip hinge. And I'm going to punch, pull back in. Punch opposite, and then pull back in. So think of reaching across the body. And then pull back in. Good. Don't let the stomach go here. So think of pulling that belly back towards the spine. Feel your breath. And reach. Good. Reach. We're just doing 1 more each side. And then come all the way back up from there. And we're going to come back into your squats here. So on this one, I'm going to hold my weights. If you would like to drop them, you can. I'm going to open those feet externally rotated. And then we're going to come into your squat and come right back up. With my weights, I'm just pushing them together. And that reach, and then right back up. So a little quicker than when we started. Start to feel your breath. Find the back of those legs. Exhale, lift. We're going to add the arms. So lower and lift. Squeeze and lift. Weight is equal on both legs. Good, last 2. And lift. And then we'll come back to center with those legs. I'm gonna just open my right leg out. My left knee is bent. And I'm gonna alternate from side to side. So I'm stretching and feeling that work through the hips. And that reach and reach. My arms are pushing on this one. Good. You're gonna pause, and then from the hips, I'm gonna just lift and lift. Remember which side you were working on. We're gonna go back to side to side. So start to feel your breath. You're still moving from the hips. And reach. I'm gonna land on that opposite side and then start to lift. Good, last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to center. Shake out through the shoulders and the neck. Okay, and then we're gonna drop the weights. On this one, I'm gonna have you guys find a wall at home, and we're gonna come into your single leg balance. So with this, I'm going about a foot's distance away from the wall with both feet. I'm gonna put my head, shoulders, and tailbone against the wall, and then bring one foot onto the wall. And the whole goal on this exercise is to keep the head and the tailbone in the same line as you reach away and pull back in. So use the hands to start to guide you, and I'm just gonna push off and then reach right back on. And push, and then back on. Both legs are working here, you guys. Find that press. You can add the arms. And we're gonna hold it out there. Keep those arms reaching. Start to close the eyes if you feel secure here. And then you're just gonna take your head and reach it from side to side. So if it's too much with the eyes closed, keep them open and just reach that head. If you wanna try it with the eyes closed, keep them closed. And then reach your body back on to the wall from there. Take that foot down, shake out through both feet, and we'll do the other side. So again, come about a foot's distance away from the wall. Bring your head, your shoulders, and your tailbone against the wall. Bring that opposite leg onto the wall. Now I will tell you the sides feel different. So use that wall as a guide to start. Push yourself away, and then push yourself back on. So the hard part is keeping the head and the tailbone to touch the wall again at the same time and to push off at the same time. You can add those arms and reach. Good. And then we're gonna stay out there on this one. If you wanna add your eyes closed, close your eyes here, and then you're gonna start to rotate the head from left to right. So again, if you want those eyes closed for more of a challenge, feel free to do so here. Find both legs, don't let them go. And then reach yourself back onto the wall. Lower that leg. Shake out through those feet, and then we're gonna come into your recentering. So bring the feet back to center. We're gonna go right back into that lift and lower that we started with. You should feel a little more balanced on the entire foot, right? And you're gonna just lift and lower. And then we're gonna add circles. So my feet are together, and I'm just gonna circle one direction, and then reverse that direction. Good. And then come back to center. Bring one leg forward. So I have my right leg forward. My right heel is pushing into the floor. I'm bending that left knee, and I'm just hinging with the hips forward with a flat back. You should feel a hamstring stretch in that right leg, or the leg that's straight. And just find your breath. You can wiggle through the toes, push into that heel just a little bit more, and then start to restack back to tall. Bring that foot in. Left leg is gonna reach forward. Slight bend in the right knee. Toes on that left leg are lifted, and I'm just gonna hinge forward with that flat back here. So on this one, if you don't feel a stretch on that left hamstring, try and reach that left hip back. So the hips are square here. Hinge forward, you can move through the toes. Start to find your breath, and then lift back up from there. And you're gonna just push into those toes. We're gonna end with your breathing. So on this one, I always like this one in class with your eyes closed. If you feel comfortable, keep them closed. If you want them open, you can keep them opened. So from here, find your head over shoulders, over hips, over heels. Close your eyes if you're going to. You're gonna start with that inhale. Reach those arms overhead. Take a nice big breath. Exhale, belly pulls deeper towards the spine. Lower those arms down. We're just doing 2 more. Lift up on that inhale. Feel your feet here. So with the eyes closed, you should be able to feel the feet into the ground just a little bit more. Exhale, lower. And last one here. Inhale, lift. Feel that stretch towards the ceiling. Exhale, deepen the belly. Bring those arms down. And you guys are all done. Good work, you guys.